Chapter 588. The Decree of a True Immortal, the Annihilation of the Phoenix. In any realm, none could overlook a true monarch, especially not in the ancient continent. Presently, the only true monarch was the Phoenix, though many still believed Lin Fei retained that title. Yet, even so, there were only these two. The sudden emergence of an unfamiliar true monarch was clearly not one of the ancient continent's own. He must have come from the divine realm, a feat in itself not easily accomplished. With a swoosh, the Phoenix surged into the sky, currently overseeing the Eternal Life Alliance as Lin Fei and the spirit of the Phoenix had delegated the Alliance's affairs to it. The Phoenix would only consult them on matters of great importance. Thus, upon sighting an unknown true monarch, the Phoenix grew anxious and immediately took flight. Esteemed fellow, hold a moment. The Phoenix positioned itself in front of the Golden Crow Taoist. The Taoist queried, sensing the aura of the Phoenix. He promptly asked, "Are you the Phoenix?" "Indeed, I am the Phoenix," it replied guardedly. "May I know who you are and why you have come to the Eternal Life Alliance?" "Ha ha ha, indeed it is you," the Golden Crow Taoist laughed heartily. "Phoenix, I am the Golden Crow Taoist from the Taiha Palace, here under the Imperial command to slay you." "What, from the Taiha Palace? You were sent by Taiha?" A shock coursed through the Phoenix. The name Taiha was taboo, an untouchable dread in its heart. Since escaping its bonds, the Phoenix had been constantly fearful of being discovered or even hunted by Taiha. Now that someone from Taiha had finally arrived, the Phoenix felt a strange relief. It confirmed that Taiha was aware of its escape and clearly indicated his intent. Taiha would not let it go. The Phoenix had no other choice but to resolutely follow Lin Fei, for only Lin Fei could protect it. If Taiha himself came to slay me, it would be effortlessly done. But you, a mere true monarch, can slay me. Do you think that because I have not been seen for so many years, anyone can make bold claims? The Phoenix's gaze turned icy. In the next moment, the aura around the Phoenix erupted, the surrounding temperature seemingly soaring rapidly. Terrifying flames enveloped the Phoenix, and the void itself twisted. Unburdened by the suppression of a true monarch-level world during this period, and having gained various resources through the Eternal Life Alliance, the Phoenix's strength had swiftly recovered. Now, it had regained more than 90% of its power, making it a genuine true monarch, a true monarch-level exotic beast, far more formidable than an ordinary true monarch. After all, it too was an exotic beast from the ancient era of true monarchs. A gleam of sharpness flickered in the eyes of the Golden Crow Taoist. They say the Phoenix is the ancestor of all birds, mastering flames that can scorch heaven and earth. But I, too, possess such flames, declared the Golden Crow Taoist as he extended his hand. A hum resonated as fierce flames ignited around him. Phoenix fire, strike! The Phoenix wasted no time and unleashed its signature Phoenix fire. Golden Crow fire, the Taoist countered, unwilling to be outdone. Flames burst forth from him as well. With a resounding boom, the two fires blazed furiously, scorching the grand hall of the Eternal Life Alliance. The two combatants took to the void, initiating a fierce battle that drew the attention of the other powerhouses of the Alliance. What on earth is happening? Why is the Grand Hall gone? It seems the Elder Phoenix is in a fierce battle with a strange strong figure. The Elder Phoenix's strength surpasses even the divine. He is a true monarch and only another true monarch could possibly match him in battle without falling short. But how could there be another true monarch-level powerhouse in the ancient continent? Could it be a true monarch from the divine realm? Someone from the divine realm again? Regardless, this true monarch-level powerhouse is extremely formidable, seemingly equal to Elder Phoenix. We must notify the Alliance leader immediately, only he can subdue this person. Amidst the chaos, members of the Eternal Life Alliance hastened to inform Lin Fei. Meanwhile, in the void, the battle between the Golden Crow Taoist and the Phoenix grew increasingly intense. True Phoenix form. In a burst of true fire, the Phoenix unleashed its full might. Surprised to find itself unable to overcome this true monarch, the Phoenix wondered if the times had indeed changed so drastically. Had it truly become ineffective? Or had it fallen behind the times? With the release of the Phoenix true form, a colossal divine bird appeared in the void, undeniably the Phoenix itself. Its body spanned tens of thousands of meters, stretching across the void, its entire being seemingly ablaze with roaring flames. The surrounding void continuously collapsed under the sheer force of its power, easily capable of shattering the void of the ancient continent. True Golden Crow form. Facing the Phoenix's true form, the Golden Crow Taoist showed no sign of weakness and similarly manifested his true form. A roar followed, and in the void, a divine bird of equal magnitude appeared, its back illuminated by what seemed like a colossal star, radiating endless light and heat. Both the Golden Crow and the Phoenix are divine birds in their own right. Now, in their massive true forms, they clashed and tangled in the void, an epic battle of celestial proportions. With a resounding crack, the void shattered. Terrifying flames surged outwards, spreading fiercely in all directions. Some flames even reached the ground, igniting everything in their path. Water proved ineffective against these flames, which grew only more intense. This battle cannot continue, otherwise, the Eternal Life Alliance will suffer terrible losses. Our headquarters will be reduced to ashes, worried voices echoed among the members. But who can stop them now? Only the Alliance leader has the strength to do so. Anyone else would simply be marching to their death. Is this the power of true monarchs? Truly terrifying. Amidst these discussions, the situation grew increasingly grim for the Eternal Life Alliance, yet they were powerless to intervene. A fine display, Phoenix, the Golden Crow Taoist shouted as they parted. Your strength has scarcely diminished over the years. But even if you could defeat me, to kill you is a certainty. The massive form of the Golden Crow sprawled across the void, its gaze on the Phoenix, still icy. Do you think Taihao himself would come to the ancient continent? The Phoenix called out defiantly. To kill you, why would His Majesty need to come personally? A mere decree is enough. The Golden Crow Taoist suddenly reverted to his human form, extending his hands reverently. He called out loudly, I summon His Majesty's decree. In the next instant, a golden light emerged, signaling the appearance of the imperial decree in the Golden Crow Taoist's hands, emitting a mysterious, vast, and holy aura. Seeing the decree, the Phoenix's expression changed dramatically, sensing the intense, murderous aura of Taihao emanating from it. The Golden Crow Taoist invoked the decree with great ceremony. By His Majesty's decree, the Phoenix shall be subdued. As his words fell, the Golden Imperial Decree unfolded like a vast net, ensnaring the Phoenix within its grasp. No, the Phoenix cried out in agony as the decree took effect. Strands of golden light cascaded down, filled with an aura of annihilation. Each strand of light threatened to obliterate the Phoenix's physical body. The divine decree appeared potent enough to truly annihilate the Phoenix. Chapter 589. The Golden Crow Taoist Shock. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. The decree, summoned by the Golden Crow Taoist, threatened to destroy the Phoenix's body. Within moments, the Phoenix's physical form was nearly 80% obliterated. Just a few more strands of golden light, and the Phoenix would indeed perish. The Golden Crow Taoist felt a shiver in his heart. He knew the true immortal decree was powerful, but its strength, which far exceeded his expectations, startled him. The Phoenix, slightly stronger than him moments ago, was unable to withstand the devastating power of the decree. Below a true immortal, all were mere ants. This wasn't just an expression. The Phoenix, supposedly immortal and able to be reborn from ashes, was now suppressed from regenerating by Taihao's decree. With each decrement in its physical form, the Phoenix edged closer to its demise. Could it be that I am truly going to die? The Phoenix pondered in a daze. It had endured countless hardships to escape a true monarch-level world, only to face potential obliteration now. In hindsight, it wondered if escaping had been a mistake. With Taihao in power, the fate of the Phoenix seemed sealed. Such was the might of a true immortal. As the Phoenix neared complete annihilation by the decree, something unexpected happened. Ripples appeared in the void, and then, to the astonishment of all, the fabric of space was pierced. A hand emerged forcefully from within the spatial pathway. This hand, indescribable in its presence, swelled in the wind and quickly transformed into a gigantic hand that eclipsed the sun. The hand then moved decisively towards Taihao's decree. The Golden Crow Taoist was shocked. Who would dare to intervene against a true immortal decree? Once a decree was enacted, even he dared not come close, for any interference would redirect the decree's deadly power against the interloper. Anyone not a true immortal would undoubtedly perish. Yet, this gigantic hand showed no fear and grasped directly at Taihao's decree. A thunderous boom echoed as the decree emitted a blinding light as if sensing a significant threat. Despite its dazzling brightness, it was nothing before the colossal hand which effortlessly seized the decree. With a thud, the decree shattered, disintegrating into nothingness, and the void returned to normal as if nothing had happened. The phoenix reverted to human form and swiftly began to regenerate its body. The massive hand slowly retracted and disappeared back into the void. A figure then stepped out from the spatial pathway, fixing its gaze upon the golden crow Taoist. In an instant, the Taoist felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him. The pressure was so immense it almost suffocated him. This sensation, could it be more than a true monarch, he wondered. Could a true monarch possess such overwhelming power to even dispel His Majesty's decree? Could this person be the legendary Lin Fei? The Golden Crow Taoist, though he had never met Lin Fei, was profoundly aware of his reputation. Tales of Lin Fei were still celebrated throughout the divine realm. Even a recluse like the Golden Crow Taoist knew that Lin Fei was no ordinary true monarch. Initially, the Taoist had harbored some arrogance, thinking that even if Lin Fei was powerful, he could not be that formidable. But now, seeing Lin Fei simply standing in the void, silent, his gaze fixed, the Golden Crow Taoist realized his grave mistake. He and Lin Fei were not on the same level at all, not even close. Facing someone who could annihilate a true immortal decree in an instant, the Golden Crow Taoist felt humbled. Yet, he did not let fear paralyze him. Instead, he sneered, "So this must be true monarch Lin, I presume." True monarch Lin, regardless of your relationship with the phoenix, it is the phoenix that His Majesty Taiha personally ordered to be slain. You shield the phoenix now, but can you truly protect it? Moreover, you've destroyed His Majesty's decree. Should His Majesty's wrath be incited and he descends personally, even a legendary true monarch from the divine realm would face grim odds against him. If you surrender the phoenix, allowing me to return it to Taiha Palace, perhaps His Majesty might forgive the recent transgressions. Despite lacking the decree and his inability to kill the phoenix directly, the Golden Crow Taoist saw an opportunity to redeem himself by capturing the phoenix and returning it to Taiha Palace. The phoenix is now an elder of my Eternal Life Alliance, Lin Fei responded calmly, hands clasped behind his back. No one is permitted to harm him. To do so is to make an enemy of me. As for Taiha True Immortal, I will discuss this matter with him directly. His tone was even, his words placing him on equal footing with Taiha True Immortal, a stance so bold it widened the eyes of the Golden Crow Taoist and left him internally shaken. Could the legendary Lin Fei true monarch from the divine realm really be so brazen and ignorant of the fearsome power of a true immortal? Or did Lin Fei believe he could match a true immortal with his own true monarch powers? Such naivety! You should not delude yourself, true monarch Lin, the Golden Crow Taoist warned coldly. Disrespect towards Supreme Celestial could not even be salvaged by the Great Dream Ancestor. At this point, the Golden Crow Taoist still had not grasped the full extent of Lin Fei's power. Lin Fei was no longer the same as he had been. After a moment of thought, Lin Fei turned to the Phoenix and said, "Phoenix, since Taiha True Immortal already knows of your escape, there's no point in delaying this matter. Rather than choosing a date, why not strike today? Let us return to the divine realm now to meet Taiha True Immortal and resolve this grudge once and for all." Lin Fei then looked to the Phoenix for his decision. The Phoenix's heart trembled slightly, its gaze complicated. Given a choice, it would rather not meet Taiha. However, it understood that avoidance was not a solution, and at this moment, it had no other options. With Lin Fei willing to assist in resolving the matter, the Phoenix had to face Taiha. Everything as the leader decides, the Phoenix conceded. Very well, to Taiha Palace we go. Lin Fei and the Phoenix, in just a few words, set their plan. The Golden Crow Taoist, however, widened his eyes in shock, unable to believe what he was witnessing. They were willingly going to meet Taiha True Immortal. Wasn't that akin to seeking death? The wrath of a true immortal was not to be taken lightly. Even though Lin Fei had the backing of the Great Dream Ancestor, if Taiha True Immortal chose to disregard that influence and insisted on slaying Lin Fei, then Lin Fei would have no escape. You. The Golden Crow Taoist started to speak, but Lin Fei gave him no chance to continue. With a wave of his hand, the saber world descended instantly, suppressing the Golden Crow Taoist who found himself unable to speak or move. "Fen Ling, you remain in charge of the Eternal Life Alliance," Lin Fei instructed. "I will take the Phoenix to Taiha Palace and resolve the grievances between him and Taiha True Immortal once and for all." "Don't worry, there will be no issues," he assured. Fen Ling nodded in agreement, "then be careful. Without further hesitation, Lin Fei dismissed the Saber world. He and the Phoenix then traversed the void, arriving at the gateway between the mortal world and the divine realm located at Mount Ascension. Gazing at the mountain and the portal, the Phoenix knew that stepping through would mean entering the divine realm. With a swift motion, Lin Fei and the Phoenix stepped into the gateway. In an instant, their figures vanished without a trace, having entered the divine realm. Chapter 590, Lin Fei descends Taiha Palace. At Taiha Palace, the presence of Taiha True Immortal was rarely felt, as the affairs of the palace were usually managed by a few true monarchs. His Majesty issued a decree for the Golden Crow Taoist to eliminate the Phoenix, and it's been several days now, hasn't it? One true monarch queried. Indeed, it has been 3 days, yet the Golden Crow Taoist has not returned, another responded. 3 days should have been more than enough for the Golden Crow Taoist to slay the Phoenix. Considering the size of the ancient continent, finding the Phoenix and executing the decree should have been straightforward. Could something unexpected have happened? These true monarchs of Taiha Palace, though unaware of the specifics of the ancient continent, knew of the formidable power held by the true immortal decree wielded by the Golden Crow Taoist. A true monarch would normally stand no chance against it. Is that the Golden Crow Taoist returning? He seems to have used a secret communication. What could justify such a measure? Secret communication was a technique reserved for the Taiha True Immortal, handed down to them for use in situations where direct communication was impractical. Even true immortals or martial ancestors would not detect it. They immediately checked the message. Quick, we must inform His Majesty, there has been a change. The Phoenix has not been slain, and I have been captured by Lin Fei of the Great Dream Sect. We are heading to Taiha Palace. Reading the details of the Golden Crow Taoist's message, the true monarchs were mildly shocked. Captured. The Golden Crow Taoist was a top-tier true monarch, and he had the true immortal decree. How could he be captured? Moreover, instead of killing the Golden Crow Taoist, the captor was bringing him straight to Taiha Palace. Wasn't that walking into a trap? If Taiha True Immortal were to become enraged, the offender would have no place to hide. No one could save them. Wait, the Golden Crow Taoist was clear, the person is Lin Fei from the Great Dream Sect. Could this be the same Lin Fei who recently became the most famous legend in the ancient covenant, reputed to be the first martial god and possibly the foremost true monarch? It must be true monarch Lin. I had my doubts when I heard he might be the top true monarch, but now it seems Lin Fei might truly be the first among them. If anyone else claimed they could resist His Majesty's decree, it would be a fool's dream. But if it's true monarch Lin, it might not be impossible. After all, he has already performed many miracles. The true monarchs looked at each other. This situation involved Lin Fei, who belonged to the Great Dream Sect, tying the matter to the sect itself. It was beyond their capability to manage. Moreover, considering Lin Fei's potential to resist a true immortal decree, no amount of true monarchs could match him, they could only report to Taiha True Immortal. Thus, they quickly proceeded to the private chamber of Taiha True Immortal to report the incident. As the imposing aura of Taiha True Immortal filled the chamber, the true monarchs cowered under its weight, their bodies involuntarily pressing into the floor. Their heads bowed, they hastily spoke, "Your Majesty, please quell your anger. We did not foresee this turn of events." However, Lin Fei is soon to arrive at Taiha Palace. At that time, Your Majesty can certainly slay him and take care of the Phoenix simultaneously. A disdainful HMPH escaped from Taiha True Immortal. The Golden Crow has been inefficient in his duties. While his life may be spared, he cannot escape punishment. The doors to the secret chamber swung open, and Taiha True Immortal emerged. His gaze was icy cold, and his eyes sternly scanned everyone present. His anger was palpable. He had given the Golden Crow Taoist a true immortal decree, and yet the Taoist had been captured. This failure was unforgivable to Taiha, fueling his rage further. Great Dream Sect, Lin Fei. Taiha muttered under his breath. Among the ancient covenant's 12 true immortals, 8 martial ancestors, and 3 hermits, the Great Dream Ancestor was the most mysterious, their true power unknown even to other supreme beings. Many true immortals and martial ancestors were unaware of the full extent of the Great Dream Ancestor's capabilities, and even his true form remained undiscovered. Taiha True Immortal was not eager to provoke the Great Dream Ancestor unless absolutely necessary. However, Lin Fei was not the Great Dream ancestor, but merely a true monarch of the Great Dream sect. Regardless of his genius, he was still just a true monarch. Now, furious beyond measure, Taihao True Immortal seethed at the audacity of a mere true monarch challenging his authority. He believed that even if he were to slay Lin Fei, the Great Dream ancestor would have no grounds for objection. And even if the Great Dream ancestor did take issue, what of it? Taihao True Immortal, a survivor of the ancient, brutal wars, had seen countless martial ancestors fall, yet he remained. That alone was testament enough to his power. He feared no one, not even the Great Dream ancestor. Just then, Taihao True Immortal sharply raised his head, sensing something. At the same moment, a voice resonated through Taihao Palace. Lin Fei and the Phoenix of the Eternal Life Alliance request an audience with Taihao True Immortal. I hope fellow Taoist Taihao will come forth to meet me. This sound clearly reached everyone's ears. However, the faces of the crowd changed drastically in an instant. Lin Fei actually referred to Taihao True Immortal as a fellow Taoist. How arrogant is that? Given their understanding of Taihao True Immortal, Taihao True Immortal was thoroughly enraged. However, contrary to their expectations, Taihao did not appear furious. Instead, there was a hint of shock in his expression, and a trace of doubt. What exactly happened? What made Taihao True Immortal not angry? In the next moment, Taihao directly traveled through the void, arriving outside the Taihao Palace. The true monarchs exchanged glances, all looking at each other in bewilderment. Why did His Majesty's anger dissipate so suddenly? One of the true monarchs whispered among themselves. With His Majesty's temperament, how could he not be enraged? Lin Fei's arrogance is unmatched. How could it not provoke a response? His expression looked as if he had witnessed something unbelievable. Could it be that something we are unaware of has occurred? Speculations were whispered rapidly among them. Only a martial ancestor could possibly elicit such a reaction from His Majesty. Could it be that not only Lin Fei has come, but the Great Dream ancestor as well? Let's not speculate any further. Follow His Majesty outside and see for ourselves what has truly happened. As the true monarchs transformed into streaks of light, speeding out of the palace, they found themselves amidst a scene that was both serene and tense. Lin Fei and the Phoenix stood calmly in the void, with Lin Fei appearing particularly composed, even as he gestured casually to bring the Golden Crow Taoist forward. True Monarch Lin, you've actually come to Taihao Palace. The Golden Crow Taoist's voice trembled with a mix of disbelief and fear. He couldn't comprehend Lin Fei's audacity to appear directly at the heart of their enemy's power. Isn't this courting death? Does he truly believe Taihao would not dare to kill? Despite the protection supposedly afforded by the Great Dream sect and the Great Dream ancestor, the wrath of Taihao True Immortal could be swift and final. No amount of backing could save Lin Fei if Taihao decided to act. However, before any more could be said, ripples of space-time danced through the air, heralding the arrival of another figure through the spatial folds. Your Majesty. The Golden Crow Taoist's voice cracked with emotion, a mix of relief and awe coloring his tone as he gazed up at the figure now standing in the void. This figure, towering and regal, bore the unmistakable aura of ancient, undying power. Taihao True Immortal, one of the 12 true immortals of the Ancient Covenant. Chapter 591. Lin Fei ascends to martial ancestor. Taihao True Immortal's astonishment. Taihao True Immortal did not respond to the Golden Crow Taoist. He did not even glance at him. Instead, his gaze rested upon Lin Fei, staring intently at him. His eyes, brimming with wisdom, seemed to sparkle with the light of intellect. Unexpectedly, our ancient covenant has birthed another martial ancestor. Lin, my fellow Taoist, perhaps not even the Great Dream ancestor knew of the fortuitous destiny that awaited you. If I am not mistaken, it was during the celestial rites held on the ancient continent that you seized this opportunity and thus achieved the exalted status of martial ancestor. Taihao True Immortal began to speak slowly. However, his words struck like thunder. Lin Fei had become a martial ancestor. The Golden Crow Taoist could scarcely believe his eyes. Impossible, how could true monarch Lin be a martial ancestor? Even the other true monarchs of the Taihao Palace showed faces filled with shock as if they couldn't believe it. Lin Fei has become a martial ancestor. Incredible, truly incredible. His Majesty is never mistaken. It seems Lin Fei has indeed ascended to martial ancestor. No wonder Lin Fei dared to address His Majesty as a fellow Taoist. It wasn't arrogance, but because Lin Fei had become a martial ancestor, his status now equal to His Majesty. How long has it been since our ancient covenant last witnessed the rise of a true immortal martial ancestor? And now, it turns out to be Lin Fei. The multitude of true monarchs in the Taiha Palace struggled to maintain their composure. All were profoundly shocked. They knew Lin Fei possessed immense talent. Indeed, he had become the foremost martial god of the divine realm. Such an honor was not easily attained. And then Lin Fei ascended to true monarch, his rise meteoric. Many had regarded Lin Fei as a potential martial ancestor. Yet, such expectations span thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years. Perhaps only then might Lin Fei achieve the status of the martial ancestor. And even that was merely a slim possibility. But who could have imagined that in just a few years' time, Lin Fei would already have become a martial ancestor, exceeding all expectations? A martial ancestor, a being comparable to a true immortal, elevated high above, ascending to the pinnacle of the divine realm. Even Taiha True Immortal, who had just been uncontrollably furious, demanding Lin Fei's execution, now, upon seeing that Lin Fei had indeed become a martial ancestor, suddenly calmed down. Fellow Taoist Taiha, I have come here solely to mediate the long-standing grievances between you and the Phoenix, Lin Fei spoke forthrightly. Whatever the reasons for those ancient grievances, they have long since passed. Moreover, the Phoenix has paid a price, having been suppressed for so many years. The discord between you and the Phoenix should, by now, be sufficiently resolved. For my sake, fellow Taoist, would you consider not pursuing the Phoenix's past errors any further? Lin Fei spoke directly, as his visit was purely to seek reconciliation for the Phoenix, thus he did not beat around the bush. Taiha True Immortal gazed deeply at Lin Fei, then swept his eyes over the Phoenix, and said calmly, it seems the Phoenix has found a powerful patron. Fellow Taoist Lin, you have just ascended to martial ancestor, and I find your path intriguing. Would you be willing to spar and share insights with me? The Taiha True Immortal did not directly accept Lin Fei's proposal. Instead, he redirected the conversation. He wished to spar with Lin Fei, to witness Lin Fei's path. In reality, this was his response. To forgive the Phoenix was possible. And quite straightforward. All Lin Fei needed to do was to defeat him. That would suffice. True immortals and martial ancestors do not battle to the death. At least, not over such trivial matters. However, a friendly sparring was entirely acceptable. After all, true immortals embody the Tao and martial ancestors master the Tao. Both are intimately linked to the Tao. Especially martial ancestors, who cultivate their own Tao. This, in fact, was something even true immortals might envy. But each follows a different path in cultivation. Even with envy, there is no remedy. Typically, a martial ancestor is somewhat stronger than a true immortal. Yet, Taiha True Immortal is one of the ancient covenant's most ancient true immortals. If the Taiha True Immortal had forgiven the Phoenix upon Lin Fei's arrival at the Taiha Palace, would that not tarnish the dignity of true immortals? Therefore, no matter what, the Taiha True Immortal wished to weigh the merits of Lin Fei, the newly ascended martial ancestor. To see if this legend of the divine realm was truly as miraculous as said. Spar? Perfect, I too am curious to experience the prowess of a true immortal, Lin Fei replied immediately. He agreed. Lin Fei had long understood that reaching an accord with the Phoenix without demonstrating his strength was impossible. Even as a martial ancestor, one must still prove one's mettle. Moreover, Lin Fei was eager to see. Was the Tao integration true immortal truly so miraculous? Fellow Taoist Lin, let us go to the ethereal void of the divine realm. If we spar here, I fear the Taiha Palace itself might not withstand the aftershocks of our battle. Lin Fei nodded. Whoosh! In the next moment, the Taiha True Immortal swiftly ascended into the void. Similarly, Lin Fei stepped up as if climbing an invisible staircase, rising into the void. Seeing this, the Phoenix, Golden Crow Taoist, and the many true monarchs of the Taiha Palace all wore extremely solemn expressions. And yet, there was a hint of excitement in their eyes. This was a rare opportunity. A martial ancestor battling a true immortal. Both were apex existences of the divine realm, exalted and supreme. Normally, one could not witness a battle between a martial ancestor and a true immortal. But now, the Taihao True Immortal and Lin Fei were prepared for combat. Though not a battle to the death, the might of a martial ancestor and a true immortal was terrifying. The strength to shake heavens and earth. To witness them in action was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Therefore, the true monarchs of the Taihao Palace, along with the Phoenix and the Golden Crow Taoist, all cast their eyes towards the void where Lin Fei and the Taihao True Immortal were confronting each other. Lin Fei halted in the void, standing with his hands clasped behind his back, his demeanor serene. Even when facing an ancient true immortal, Lin Fei's heart remained as still as an undisturbed well, utterly calm. "Watch closely, fellow Taoist Lin," declared the Taihao True Immortal solemnly. "This is the Tao of a true immortal." In the next moment, the Taihao True Immortal extended a pale finger and pointed gently at Lin Fei. A thunderous roar erupted in the void. Lin Fei could vaguely sense that within the divine realm, vast seas of origin were violently trembling. At the same time, a force of law enveloped him. Suppression, confinement. Various forces had already descended upon Lin Fei. This was the Tao integrated by the Taihao True Immortal. Once a Tao is integrated, a true immortal can mobilize the power of that particular Tao. In the divine realm, its potency is terrifying. It is akin to harnessing a portion of the entire divine realm's power. Only a Tao integration true immortal can wield a fragment of the divine realm's might. Lin Fei immediately felt the pressure. From all directions, relentless force squeezed against him. He could even see in the void, strands of law, endlessly extending like a vast net, enveloping him. It seemed from all sides, forces conspired to trap Lin Fei, leaving him no escape. Yet, Lin Fei made no attempt to dodge. In fact, he remained motionless. Standing quietly in the void, he allowed countless threads of law to envelop him. With a thunderous vibration, Lin Fei's body shook as if under immense pressure, continuously oscillating. And with it, massive amounts of the law's power pressed down like Mount Tai's overwhelming weight. Yet still, Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back, unyielding. His entire being stood defiantly in the void. His gaze commanding, his demeanor proud. "Fellow Taoist Taihao, there's no need for you to hold back," Lin Fei declared boldly. "Unleash all the maneuvers of a true immortal. I can withstand it. Otherwise, if this is all the strength you have, then it's indeed too weak, and I will be truly disappointed." Lin Fei's words were unabashed and even caused a flash of sharpness to pass through the eyes of the Taihao True Immortal. Chapter 592. Eternal Realm displays its might. Weak? A fleeting sharpness flashed through the eyes of Taihao True Immortal. Thereafter, his voice permeated the void. "Very well, since that is the case, I shall not hold back any longer. I am a true immortal, fused with the Tao. When the Tao emerges, divine abilities manifest. My every word forms the laws. Words uttered, laws follow, the Tao suppresses." With a thunderous boom, Taihao True Immortal invoked the Tao. To the naked eye, the divine realm seemed undisturbed. Yet at this moment, every Tao integration true immortal could feel the entire divine realm's void trembling intensely. Even the Tao of the divine realm itself quaked violently. This disturbance alarmed many true immortals and martial ancestors. What's happening? Even the origin sea of the divine realm is shaking. Somebody is wielding the power of the Tao. Which true immortal is mobilizing the Tao's power? It seems to be Taihao True Immortal. Taihao True Immortal's opponent isn't that Lin Fei from the Great Dream sect. Lin Fei has become a martial ancestor. He's compelled Taihao True Immortal to exert the Tao's power. How long has Lin Fei been in the divine realm to achieve the status of martial ancestor? Suddenly, many true immortals and martial ancestors became aware of the fierce battle between Taihao True Immortal and Lin Fei. Deep within the void, powerful gazes were now focused on Lin Fei and Taihao True Immortal. Numerous true immortals and martial ancestors were closely watching this battle. Although they were shocked by how quickly Lin Fei had become a martial ancestor, they still did not believe Lin Fei could surpass Taihao True Immortal. Taihao True Immortal was not weak. Even among true immortals, he was at least of moderate rank. Once one achieves true immortal or martial ancestor status, advancing even slightly becomes exceedingly difficult. Being of moderate rank was already no small feat. As Taihao True Immortal summoned the power of the divine realm's Tao, the pressure on Lin Fei multiplied tenfold, several dozen times over. A tremendous force enveloped him. For the first time, Lin Fei felt immense pressure. Not enough, still not enough. Ha ha ha, Taihao true immortal, your Tao is indeed strong. But it seems incapable of troubling me. A sharp glint flickered in Lin Fei's eyes. Eternal realm. In the next moment, Lin Fei's body swiftly transformed into a world. It was the eternal realm. Once the eternal realm emerged, the power of Taihao true immortal's Tao became ineffective. Even the Tao power that struck Lin Fei's eternal realm only stirred up a ripple, like ripples in water, spreading in all directions. But that was all. Taihao true immortal's words follow laws, even with the mobilization of the divine realm's Tao power, failed to suppress Lin Fei's world. Transforming into a world. Taihao true immortal was astounded. Especially since he, merged with the Tao, even using the power of the divine realm's Tao, could not contend with Lin Fei's eternal realm. Moreover, Lin Fei, having transformed into a world, could now wield the power of an entire world. How terrifying was that power? Break! Lin Fei uttered in a low shout. The power of the entire eternal realm erupted instantly. With a resounding boom, the surrounding void shattered in an instant. This was a minor world. The full might of the entire minor world was unleashed. Everyone witnessed this incredibly shocking scene. The void was shattered, completely obliterated. An unimaginable force instantaneously pierced through the body of Taihao true immortal. With a thud, in the next instant, the body of Taihao true immortal disintegrated into dust. At the same time, an even more terrifying force emerged. It collided fiercely with the Tao of the divine realm that was fused with Taihao true immortal. It was a collision of Tao against Tao. The world power of Lin Fei, its source was the world Tao. Thus, the collision of the Tao was extremely perilous and equally astonishing. With a spurt, in the next moment, Lin Fei's world power proved superior. However, Lin Fei's minor world also developed a slight crack. Inside the minor world, tempestuous waves were stirred up. The power was so immense, abnormally so, that it caused severe turbulence within Lin Fei's eternal realm. Needless to say, Taihao true immortal fared worse. The fused Tao was penetrated by the force of Lin Fei. In essence, it was shattered. But that was all. Lin Fei could not completely annihilate the Tao of the divine realm. Thus, this was the extent of what he could achieve. Yet even so, this was the heaviest injury Taihao true immortal had received since the ancient wars. His body was blasted apart. Of course, Tao integration true immortals are immortal and indestructible. As long as the Tao exists, the Tao integration true immortal would remain unharmed. With a hum, a figure rapidly condensed in the void. It was indeed Taihao true immortal. His expression was somewhat grim. He stared intently at Lin Fei, seemingly in disbelief. He had lost. And not just a loss, but a crushing defeat. A total rout. Even his body was blasted apart. Moreover, Lin Fei had even directly countered a strike from the divine realm's world Tao. Yet, it almost did not affect Lin Fei's eternal realm. This clearly showed the formidable strength of Lin Fei's eternal realm. Lin Fei's prowess was clearly not that of an ordinary martial ancestor. After all, even a typical martial ancestor was no match for Taihao true immortal. But now, Lin Fei had nearly crushed Taihao true immortal. However, although Lin Fei appeared to have the upper hand, his demeanor grew solemn upon seeing Taihao true immortal reform his body. He had previously wondered if he could utterly annihilate Taihao true immortal. Yet now, it seemed nearly impossible, despite having exerted his full strength. Aside from not deploying the saber world, Lin Fei had unleashed nearly every technique at his disposal. Yet he still could not shake the divine realm's Tao. If the divine realm's Tao remained unshaken, then a true immortal was indeed immortal and indestructible. At least, Lin Fei had no means to fully exterminate a true immortal, causing their complete downfall. True immortal, fused with the Tao, was truly immortal. Ordinary martial ancestors stood no chance. However, it was unknown whether a supreme being could slay a Tao integration true immortal. Taihao, my friend, you have been most gracious. Lin Fei calmly stated. Taihao true immortal coldly replied, I have lost, and thoroughly at that. Lin, your strength surpasses mine. In light of your grace, I declare that all grievances between us are nullified. As long as you no longer provoke me or the Taihao Palace, I shall no longer trouble you. Taihao True Immortal addressed these words to Phoenix. He, a dignified True Immortal, would not go back on his word. Since he declared the grievances nullified, they were indeed so. Thank you, Taihao True Immortal. Thank you, leader. Phoenix was visibly excited and pleased. Unexpectedly, Lin Fei had truly kept his word. From now on, even within the divine realm, Phoenix could be at ease. Taihao True Immortal, true to his word, ensured Phoenix's safety. Fellow Daoist Lin, please forgive my inadequate care. Having said this, Taihao True Immortal directly traversed the void, flying back to the Taihao Palace. Clearly, Taihao True Immortal could no longer bear the sight of Lin Fei and Phoenix. This battle was not merely between Taihao True Immortal and Lin Fei. Many True Immortals and martial ancestors had witnessed this event. Taihao True Immortal had lost all face. How could he show a pleasant countenance? However, Lin Fei was indifferent. Let's go back to the ancient continent. Lin Fei, leading Phoenix, traveled through space, heading toward the ancient continent. Chapter 593. Return to Great Dream City, meeting with the Great Dream Ancestor. Lin Fei returned to the ancient continent. Although the Phoenix no longer had concerns holding it back and could have journeyed to the divine realm, the Phoenix chose to remain on the ancient continent, staying within the alliance of Immortality to assist Feng Ling. Lin Fei spent several days with Feng Ling before he eventually left the ancient continent and made his way back to the divine realm. Upon traversing the Divine Mountains portal and stepping into the Divine Realm, the guards outside the Interrealm Passage, true monarchs and martial gods alike, all adopted a solemn demeanor, respectfully saluting, greetings to the martial ancestor. HM. How did you come to know of my ascension to martial ancestor? Lin Fei's brow furrowed slightly. These were merely martial gods and true monarchs, and they had always stayed outside the Interrealm Passage. Logically, news shouldn't have spread so swiftly. Yet, they all knew of Lin Fei's new title. One of the true monarchs hurriedly explained, Martial Ancestor, the news of your achievement has already spread throughout the divine realm. It is said that the news originated from the Taihao Palace. The Taihao Palace? Lin Fei pondered. He had visited the Taihao Palace before, and many had witnessed his battle with the Taihao True Immortal. However, Lin Fei hadn't expected the news to disseminate so rapidly. Thinking about it, it made sense. The divine realm had not seen the rise of a new martial ancestor for many years. And now, Lin Fei, once a legendary true monarch, had achieved this venerable status. Thus, the news was indeed explosive. Lin Fei returned to Great Dream City. Suddenly, a familiar voice reached Lin Fei's ears. HM. Master. Lin Fei's eyes snapped up. This was the voice of his master, the Great Dream Ancestor. Previously, Lin Fei was unaware whether the Great Dream Ancestor was in the divine realm or in the realm of dreams. Now that Lin Fei had become a martial ancestor, his perceptions were naturally not the same. Although he still couldn't locate the true body of the Great Dream Ancestor, Lin Fei had found the method through which the Great Dream Ancestor transmitted his voice. Unlike what Lin Fei had previously thought, the Great Dream Ancestor's voice transmission did not seem to come from the dreams into reality. Rather, it appeared to be through some mysterious Tao, perhaps one mastered by the Great Dream Ancestor himself. This Tao was exceedingly elusive, and Lin Fei had only managed to trace a mere hint of it. Summoned by his master, Lin Fei naturally obliged. Thus, he returned to his dwelling and began to concentrate deeply. Gradually, Lin Fei arrived in Great Dream City. Without pausing even for a moment, he continued deeper into the realm of dreams. First layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer. Finally, Lin Fei reached the fourth layer of the dreamscape. There, he beheld the divine dream realm and saw the complex expressions of True Monarch Bai Chen and True Monarch Chen Shen. Lin. Martial Ancestor. Both Bai Cheng and Chen Shen wore complicated expressions as they respectfully saluted Lin Fei. Though Lin Fei was their junior by discipleship, they no longer dared to address him as junior brother. Once one becomes a martial ancestor, it signifies a shift to an entirely different echelon. Each martial ancestor, each true immortal, stands at the pinnacle of the divine realm, overlooking all beings. Below the ranks of martial ancestors and true immortals, one must maintain reverence. Lin Fei. At that moment, Lin Fei saw a familiar figure. The Great Dream Ancestor. Master, Lin Fei greeted the Great Dream Ancestor with a slight bow. A trace of a smile appeared on the Great Dream Ancestor's face, seemingly pleased. Lin Fei, your recent return to the ancient continent appears to have been quite fruitful. Have you truly mastered a complete Tao and become a martial ancestor? The Great Dream Ancestor had undoubtedly received the news earlier, but he still wished to hear Lin Fei's confirmation directly. The Great Dream Ancestor was well acquainted with Lin Fei's cultivation journey. Even if going to the ancient continent for a celestial ritual, according to the Great Dream Ancestor's earlier predictions, it was unlikely for Lin Fei to become a martial ancestor without more fortuitous encounters. Yet, even the Great Dream Ancestor had not anticipated that his recently accepted disciple, after merely one journey to the ancient continent, would return as a martial ancestor. This was indeed a pleasant surprise. Thus, the Great Dream sect now boasted two great martial ancestors, commanding or throughout the ancient covenant and the divine realm. Glancing at the Great Dream Ancestor, Lin Fei noticed Bai Chen and Chen Shen also fixed their intense gazes upon him. Taking a deep breath, Lin Fei solemnly responded, Master, indeed, it was through a fortuitous coincidence during my recent journey to the ancient continent that I finally grasped a complete Tao and achieved the status of martial ancestor. Had it not been for Master revealing the secrets of the ancient continent, I might have wandered aimlessly for many more years, perhaps only grasping at the mere chance of becoming a martial ancestor. Lin Fei was profoundly moved, even he had not anticipated ascending to martial ancestor so swiftly. Lin Fei, your achievement is due to your innate talents, the Great Dream Ancestor remarked. However, once one becomes a martial ancestor, the nature of their cultivation changes fundamentally. It revolves solely around the Tao one has mastered. This is the essence. Only by continually elevating one's own Tao can a martial ancestor's power truly be enhanced. Great Dream City represents my Tao and is my foundation. To strengthen Great Dream City, I began creating the Divine Dream Realm, constantly perfecting it. Once the Divine Dream Realm is fully perfected, it will bring immense benefits, not only to me but to all of you. Lin Fei understood the underlying message in the Great Dream Ancestor's words. He did not want Lin Fei to leave. Lin Fei had no intentions of departing. Thus, he firmly stated, Master, please be assured, I will never leave the Great Dream sect. I will also support your Divine Dream Realm, striving for its early perfection. Now a martial ancestor, Lin Fei remained humble. He had no plans to establish his own sect, at least not for now. Good, I naturally trust you, the Great Dream Ancestor smiled. With you, the Divine Dream Realm will inevitably be completed. However, before that, your achievement as a martial ancestor is a significant event within the entire ancient covenant. In a few days, the Great Dream sect will hold a ceremony to celebrate your ascension. Tao Integration True Immortals, other martial ancestors, and more will come to congratulate you and present gifts. This is also one of the methods to integrate you into the core circles of the ancient covenant. Lin Fei understood. Everywhere there are circles of influence, and the ancient covenant was no exception. The summit of power in the ancient covenant naturally belonged to the two supremes. However, these supremes were elusive, almost never appearing within the covenant. The daily affairs of the covenant were managed by martial ancestors and true immortals, not the supremes. A ceremony for my ascension. Lin Fei thanked his master. A gleam of understanding flashed in his eyes. He immediately grasped the significance of this ceremony. It was essentially an opportunity for him to make a public appearance and fully integrate into the core circles of the ancient covenant. After all, the two supremes, 12 true immortals, 8 martial ancestors, and 3 hermits constituted this elite circle, a circle ordinarily inaccessible to the common folk. Only by holding a ceremony for his ascension could Lin Fei gain recognition from other martial ancestors and true immortals, thus fully integrating into the heart of the ancient covenant. Chapter 594. The Martial Ancestor Ceremony, Greetings from All Directions. By the way, Lin Fei, the Great Dream Ancestor began, now that you have achieved the status of martial ancestor and mastered a complete Tao, I wonder if you could continue to perfect the Divine Dream Realm. The Divine Dream Realm was always of utmost importance to the Great Dream Ancestor. Now that Lin Fei had mastered a complete Tao, he could once again attempt to enhance the Divine Dream Realm. Master, I indeed have some insights that I could try implementing, Lin Fei replied. He glanced at the divine dream realm where Bai Cheng and Chen Chen had been continually trying to improve it, albeit with limited success. Previously, Lin Fei had founded numerous worlds, thereby making substantial contributions to the refinement of the divine dream realm. Now, as a creator of worlds who had fully grasped the Tao of worlds, Lin Fei found the process more intuitive. With a thunderous boom, worlds sprang up like bamboo shoots after a rainstorm, rapidly emerging one after another. Indeed, these were all created by Lin Fei, who now had the capability to create not just one but tens, even dozens of worlds at a time. In the divine realm, the creation of minor worlds was virtually limitless, calling them infinite was no exaggeration. Lin Fei was now working on creating the world, hoping to establish up to 100,000, even 1,000,000 worlds to truly perfect the divine dream realm. Once there were indeed 1,000,000 worlds, there was no doubt that the divine dream realm would undergo a significant transformation, even amounting to a tremendous upgrade. As for worlds of the true monarch level, Lin Fei was now confident these were worlds that could give birth to life, letting these small worlds develop a consciousness of their own. Of course, all of this would take a considerable amount of time. Fortunately, the fourth layer of the dream, where time was abundant, was not lacking in this resource. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed in the divine realm, which equated to 50,000 days, or about 137 years in the dreamscape's fourth layer. In such an extended period, Lin Fei had created hundreds of thousands of worlds. The speed of creation was almost inconceivable. "All right, stop now." Finally, the great dream ancestor spoke. He looked at Lin Fei and said in a deep voice, "Lin Fei, the worlds you have created are truly remarkable. You have significantly remedied some of the deficiencies in the divine dream realm. Now, the divine dream realm is nearly 30% perfected, and you alone have contributed to more than 10% of that improvement." The great dream ancestor was immensely satisfied with Lin Fei's contributions. Lin Fei's arrival significantly impacted the perfection of the divine dream realm. Together with Bai Cheng and Chen Chen, they had spent many years improving the divine dream realm, yet they had managed less than 20% completion. Progress had nearly stalled as they approached this limit, seemingly unable to advance further. Unexpectedly, Lin Fei's involvement had swiftly contributed over 10% more. With such progress, the great dream ancestor felt hopeful that the divine realm could eventually be fully perfected. The divine dream realm is now 30% complete, he mused. But this is essentially the limit. I can no longer continue to enhance the divine dream realm unless the worlds within it give birth to live and potentially evolve into true monarch-level worlds. Such development could perhaps improve it by an additional 10 to 20%. This was Lin Fei's estimation. Strong as he was, his understanding was primarily in the Tao of worlds. He was not particularly adept in other areas, and perfecting the divine dream realm required improvements across various aspects. Otherwise, the divine dream realm would remain an elusive mirage. Another 10 to 20% completion would be sufficient. Then, the divine dream realm would have a chance to be 50% perfected. The great dream ancestor laughed contentedly. He had all the time in the world, being immortal. Now at 30%, it will surely reach 40, 50%, or even more in the future. As long as the divine dream realm continues to improve, it proves that my path is correct and my methods are viable. This, in fact, is most crucial. Lin Fei, 5 days have passed and your martial ancestor ceremony is about to begin, he continued. I will accompany you out. Some of the old-timers who rarely show themselves will be there. This time is actually an opportunity. Lin Fei was somewhat surprised. The great dream ancestor himself would make a real appearance in the divine realm. Then I am grateful, Master. Thus, Lin Fei's consciousness left Great Dream City and returned to the divine realm, specifically to the Great Dream Sect. Nowadays, the Great Dream Sect was bustling with activity. Despite being a force that lacked presence even within the ancient covenant, the Great Dream Sect was shrouded in mystery. Many were unaware of the true extent of the Great Dream Sect's power. After all, its members were all in Great Dream City. Apart from those who practiced the Great Dream Heart Sutra, no one could enter Great Dream City. Therefore, it was rare to see members of the Great Dream Sect active outside, and even if they were, it was not evident they belonged to the sect. Today was unlike any other. The Great Dream Sect was bustling with activity. In ancient city, the headquarters of the Great Dream sect was particularly lively, thronged by tens of thousands of people. The cause of this excitement was Lin Fei's martial ancestor ceremony. Lin Fei's ascension to martial ancestor was a monumental event, not only for the Great Dream sect but for the entire ancient covenant, and even resonated throughout the divine realm. Lin Fei was no ordinary individual. He had begun as the first martial god of the divine realm and later became a legendary true monarch. In just several years, he had ascended from martial god to martial ancestor at a pace that was nothing short of astonishing. Furthermore, Lin Fei had withstood 9 divine laws during his trials. Each tribulation was a spectacle that earned the awe of countless warriors. Is this the headquarters of the Great Dream sect? Great Dream sect is truly mysterious. Now, though still enigmatic, the Great Dream sect has given rise to a peak powerhouse like martial ancestor Lin. With 2 martial ancestors in a single sect, the Great Dream sect must now be the leading power within the entire ancient covenant, right? Indeed, who would have thought that the unassuming Great Dream sect would leap to become the #1 force in the ancient covenant? With both the Great Dream ancestor and martial ancestor Lin, the Great Dream sect is not to be trifled with in the future. The crowd was abuzz with discussion. The depth of the Great Dream sect's heritage was unclear to many, but now that it housed 2 martial ancestors, it was undoubtedly the foremost power in the ancient covenant. Regardless of how well other forces in the covenant developed, having 2 martial ancestors secured its top position. Aside from the Supremes, who could guarantee dominance over the Great Dream sect? Swoosh! A figure appeared at the Great Dream sect, causing a stir among the crowd. It's martial ancestor Lin. It really is martial ancestor Lin. The aura of martial ancestor Lin seems the same as before. Has he truly become a martial ancestor? Even though the rumors have been swirling and the Great Dream sect is holding a martial ancestor ceremony, I still find it hard to believe. Can someone really become a martial ancestor in just 2 or 3 years? People like martial ancestor Lin are not ordinary. You cannot apply common sense to him. Martial ancestor Lin is here, but what about the Great Dream ancestor? Yeah, the Great Dream ancestor is the founder of the Great Dream sect. Why isn't he seen? I've heard that the real body of the Great Dream ancestor is quite unique and rarely seen. Could it be that even today, the Great Dream ancestor won't make an appearance? Suddenly, the focus of attention shifted to the Great Dream ancestor. Their curiosity about him was no less than their interest in Lin Fei. Chapter 595. Spa. Lin Fei sat quietly on the high platform. No martial ancestors or true immortals had arrived yet, but Lin Fei remained unconcerned. The ceremony to honor his ascension to martial ancestor had been announced to all true immortals and martial ancestor level powers within the ancient covenant and was being managed entirely by the Great Dream ancestor. Lin Fei needed only to wait patiently. However, the absence of the Great Dream ancestor and any other martial ancestors or true immortals at this point was unusual. Could it be that no one would attend his ceremony? Lin Fei, do not be anxious, a familiar voice echoed. The ancient covenant is united internally. The ceremony of a martial ancestor is no small affair. They will come. At that moment, Lin Fei sharply lifted his head as ripples appeared in the space before him. Stepping through the void, a figure emerged in front of Lin Fei. Greetings, ancestor. Many members of the Great Dream sect bowed respectfully. It was the Great Dream ancestor himself, the founder of the Great Dream sect and one of the 8 martial ancestors of the ancient covenant, also the most mysterious among them. Many believed that the Great Dream ancestor had fully entered into the realm of dreams, but this appearance suggested otherwise. In Lin Fei's eyes, there was something very special about the physical form of the Great Dream ancestor. It seemed not very powerful, and within it harbored something unique. This body, existing between reality and illusion. Even if the Great Dream ancestor's physical form collapses, if he were slain, he might not necessarily perish, Lin Fei thought. That unique power, could it be akin to consciousness or spiritual power? Perhaps this other form of spiritual power could enter into the realm of dreams. Great Dream City is truly the foundation of the Great Dream ancestor. The physical body might even be dispensable. Lin Fei was profoundly shaken. This was entirely different from what he had imagined or understood. In his understanding, a martial ancestor should fundamentally rely on a powerful physical form. Yet, it seemed the Great Dream Ancestor was the exact opposite, focusing instead on cultivating spiritual power, and his physical form appeared quite ordinary. However, Lin Fei did not inquire further. This was the Great Dream Ancestor's greatest secret. If he chose to share it with Lin Fei, he would do so naturally. If not, it meant it was not appropriate to disclose or that there were reasons for keeping it from Lin Fei. Lin Fei would not press for answers. Time passed by, and then a voice announced, "Unity Dao, Unity True Immortal, your Majesty has arrived." A familiar figure emerged from the void. It was Unity True Immortal. Lin Fei had met him once before and recognized him immediately. Surprisingly, Unity True Immortal was the first to arrive at the Great Dream Sect. "Congratulations, fellow Daoist Lin, on achieving Martial Ancestor," Unity True Immortal said with a smile. "And congratulations to the Great Dream Ancestor. Your Great Dream Sect has indeed added a powerful asset, like a tiger growing wings. You have suddenly become the strongest force within our ancient covenant. Fellow Daoist, please take a seat." Lin Fei gestured towards a chair beside him. Unity True Immortal, visibly astounded, sat next to Lin Fei. He was particularly shocked because he had known Lin Fei before when he was just a true monarch. He knew Lin Fei had gone to the ancient continent to conduct a celestial ritual to grasp the Tao, an opportunity many true monarchs had also received, but none had ascended to Martial Ancestor or Tao Integration True Immortal. Only Lin Fei had done so incredibly smoothly and quickly. After a single trip to the ancient continent, he had mastered a complete Tao and achieved Martial Ancestor. There were even rumors that Lin Fei had battled with Tai Hao True Immortal. Following the battle, Tai Hao did not appear publicly, and vague messages from Tai Hao Palace became increasingly reticent, hinting at a defeat that led to Tai Hao's silence. The first True Immortal had arrived. Nine Saints Sect, Nine Saints Ancestor has arrived. Another Martial Ancestor announced his presence. Swoosh! As soon as Nine Saints Ancestor appeared, he exclaimed with a laugh, "Great Dream, I didn't expect your Great Dream Sect to produce a Martial Ancestor with such exceptional talent as Martial Ancestor Lin. Your sect has truly struck it lucky. Congratulations to Martial Ancestor Lin on achieving immortality as a Martial Ancestor," Nine Saints Ancestor said, appearing to be very familiar with the Great Dream Ancestor, taking a seat right next to him. The ancient covenant consisted of 12 true immortals, 8 martial ancestors, and 3 hermit ascetics. Now, 1 true immortal and 1 martial ancestor had arrived, finally setting the stage. Subsequently, all 12 true immortals and the remaining martial ancestors arrived. Only the 3 hermits, who wandered like idle clouds and wild cranes, were absent. Not even the Great Dream Ancestor could reach them, so they did not attend the ceremony. However, having these 20 true immortals and martial ancestors is indeed a grand event. The ancient covenant rarely gathers 20 beings of the true immortal and martial ancestor level. Adding Lin Fei and the Great Dream Old Ancestor brings the total to 22 true immortals and martial ancestors. Thus, many are witnessing wonders they've never seen before, seeing true immortals and martial ancestors usually hidden from view. This ceremony of Lin Fei's accession to martial ancestor status has indeed earned him much face. I express gratitude to all true immortals and martial ancestors for attending this ceremony. Lin Fei addressed the many true immortals and martial ancestors. At that moment, Unity True Immortal suddenly spoke, "Martial Ancestor Lin, you are now a true martial ancestor. Today, shouldn't you demonstrate your strength? It wouldn't be in vain that we've come all this way." "Right, which path have you mastered, martial ancestor Lin? Could you show us?" It is said that martial ancestor Lin, having just ascended, was able to defeat Tai Hao. He's not just any ordinary true immortal. Many true immortals and martial ancestors showed eager anticipation. They also wanted to see if Lin Fei was merely a name without substance or truly a renowned figure under whom no falsity lies. They were here to see the true measure of Lin Fei. After pondering for a moment, Lin Fei said, "Well then, since you've all made the journey here, I should at least offer something in return. But a solo demonstration isn't much fun. How about I find a martial ancestor or true immortal for a friendly spar? Which among you would like to liven up the event?" Lin Fei's gaze, sharp as a spear, swept over the 20 true immortals and martial ancestors. The 20 true immortals and martial ancestors had no particular reaction. However, the multitude below was boiling with excitement. This was a rare opportunity. Being able to witness a battle between a martial ancestor and a true immortal was a chance that came once in a lifetime. Many could go their whole lives without seeing such a spectacle. Yet now they were presented with this rare opportunity. The question remained which true immortal or martial ancestor would step up to spar with Lin Fei.